Hello everyone. This is a recording of my art process of participating in a Zoom live drawing session. It was a replay of one of Kriksis's Patreon replays. Kriksis had asked all of the members of her Patreon to email through photographs of places where we live. Like we come from all different locations around the world, and we were asked to submit to email her photographs of the landscape or our homes or something that's special about the place, or anything. It doesn't even have to be special. Where do we live in the world, so that we could get to know each other through drawing out the places, our locations. So it was called Show and Tell Location, and there were 6 images. I only did 5 panels on this one. I, for some reason, thought there was only 5, but I've got the 6th one's on the next page. That will come later. And so there were 6 images to paint from. I emailed through one of my photos, or a few of my photos, but Kriksis has chosen one. This one, what we're drawing here, this one is one of Melanie's photographs, and it's from East Central South Dakota, looking west from her house. I'm really sorry, Melanie. It doesn't look anything like the view from your house, I'm afraid. But it was really fun to experiment and play with these materials I'm using. These really bright panels, the pre-painted panels that I've done, yeah, they really are that bright in real life. I don't know if I want to go that bright again, but anyway, it's all a learning process, and I'm trying to use up materials that I haven't used for a long time. So that's where the bright colours came from. Sometimes I like the effect. Anyway, I'm exploring, I'm experimenting, I'm trying to get this done this is a 10-minute little painting, and I've used a mixture of the kuretake, the gouache, watercolours, dry pastel. Yeah, did I use Inktense in this one? I can't remember. What I found about this process, while we were painting everybody's different, landscapes from all over the world, I learnt so much about different countries, the cultures, the places, the climate, the foods. It was quite extraordinary, the amount of geography and history and culture and tradition and things that I wasn't really expecting to learn. It just highlights how much you can learn through art. I think art is such a powerful medium, isn't it? Like, you can teach, and I've always believed this, being a high school, first of all, I started as a primary school teacher, and then I became a secondary school teacher. And I have strongly believed, so I've been a general teacher and an art teacher. I've done a lot of things. I've been out in the workforce for a very long time, so I've experienced a lot of different things. One of my core beliefs throughout all of my educational background and history is that you can teach anything through art. Anything and everything can be taught through the process of art, or learning about art, doing, making, and learning about art. The conversations that come up when you're painting with someone are more, there's an openness to the conversations that come up when you are painting with someone. So I'm just doing the replay, but I got to listen to people's conversations when they were painting in the real time through the Zoom. It was just beautiful. I found myself answering back, as I often do. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. I felt very connected to the people who were in the Zoom. And I ended up Googling a lot of these places because I hadn't heard of them. I didn't know where they were. Geography wasn't something it's been a big part of my life. I've always, travel was never a strong desire of mine. It's more so is now that I'm getting older, but there were other things that I was more interested in focusing my attention on when I was younger, which I know that's quite unusual, but I wanted to own my own home. And so this painting here is, I think this one is Cornwall. I think this is one of Kriksis's photos, and it's St. Mawes, Cowes Beach, I think. And here I'm using gouache and watercolour over the top of those pre-painted panels. And the panels, I used a mixture of acrylic and gesso to get that layer down, the initial layer. I think what I'd like to do is to go back in later on when I've got more time and put some maybe pencil over the top, or just mute down that bright colour in the background a little bit more. I like it how it peeks through certain places, but maybe not the entire thing. Oh, it's just such a beautiful replay to watch. I've really enjoyed these Zoom drawing sessions. I've definitely learnt a lot. Like, you don't only learn about the places where people live, of course. It depends on the subject and the topic that you're drawing about, and the conversations that are sort of ignited from that image that you're all drawing. And the beautiful part, one of the beautiful parts, is at the end when you get to share what you've done, what you've created. We've all drawn from the same reference image, but my goodness, everyone's are so different. Everyone's used different mediums. We've used different color palettes. We've used different surfaces, and just seeing how everybody interprets an image in a short time frame is fun. It's inspiring. It's really inspiring. So the third image here, this is another 10-minute painting. This one is, I think it's Harrison Hot Springs, which is New Westminster, British Columbia in Canada. And from what I gather, this place it's near Seattle, near the border on the west coast, north of Washington State. It's amazing what you can learn, isn't it, through art? I just feel blessed. I feel really blessed. I love being in Kriksis's Patreon as well. So Kriksis has got a Discord server for her paid Patreon members, patrons, people, people. And I quite like that. So when I finish this, I might post this into the Discord server or post a link or something so that other people can see my process. Because we don't always get to see the process that we go through, but we do see the final image at the end. Yeah. So again, that watercolor over the top. Some things, when you're painting fast, it is a bit tricky because trying to get things to dry and not mix in with each other can be a bit challenging. I found that this gesso combination of paint and gesso underneath it must absorb some of the paint and it helps it dry a lot quicker. So I've gone in with a layer of pencil over the top here just to put some of the trees in the background and get the shapes in. I think that's forest from Derwent Light Fast, although I'm not sure that my background painting was quite dry enough for the pencil to show through as well as what it could do, because that's quite a dark green there. And just trying to get the reflections that it's meant to be water. Oh, funny. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. I can't remember what happened. I think Cedar was barking. Oh, the wombat. There was a wombat in the backyard and I had to pause everything and go and check on what Cedar was barking at. And it turns out we've got this wombat. It's early spring and the wombats are everywhere at the moment. So I missed a bit of the recording of this process. I found yellow really hard. Really hard. I'm sorry, Paige. This is Paige's photo and it's from Central Kentucky, Lexington, and it's a horse area. I learnt that there's rolling green hills and white fences and barns and it's really beautiful. And this was actually the cemetery where there's lots of trails and walks that you can do in the cemetery, but it dates back to the early 1800s. It's now an arboretum, and in the spring, I think, there was cherry trees that are just gorgeous to watch. It would be a beautiful place to visit. So that was it. The yellow was a ginkgo tree. Now this fifth picture here, this is Claudia's, and I believe it's Humber Bay, Lake Ontario, and it's the west end of Toronto in the Junction area, I think. And when I saw this and heard Claudia talking about where it is, I'm thinking about my friend Melissa from Melissa Martin Art from Art Hang Party, because I know that she lives in Toronto, and I'm thinking, I wonder how close these guys live to each other. Maybe, wouldn't that be fun if they could paint together? Anyway, that's just what I was thinking. I mean, really, the world is pretty small when you think about it. Our worlds are pretty small, like the painting world, the artist's world. There's a lot of connections that are there that we possibly don't even know about. I think I got my perspective and proportion a little bit wrong with this one, but never mind, it was fun anyway. And I really liked some of those colours that were coming out there. I definitely love painting oceans. So the palette that I've got there it's just a ceramic plate from the op shop. It's a kitchen plate, some sort of kitchen plate, and it works perfectly for a mixing palette for my watercolors or gouache. I'm using the gouache that I've been using here. I've made my own colors. I've just mixed my own colors together, and I've dried them in pans, like full pans or half pans, because I find it quicker and easier. Not necessarily always easier, but quicker when I'm working on timed paintings like this to use them. Also, they don't dry out as fast, and although you can re-wet gouache, obviously. I like using mixed media. The sketchbook that I'm using is a Talon's Art Creation. So in a way, that's why I've did the pre-painted panels in the background. So there's more of a surface for the watercolor to adhere to and not go so crinkly, and so I could move it around a bit more. But also the background, it's a creamy color, it's not white. So yeah, just experimenting with different colors. I think I'd like to try some other colors in my background, my pre-painted panels. I wonder what a cool color would look like as a background. I like the orange with the sky. Yeah, I think, what am I doing here? I might be wanting to go, oh no, the rocks. There were lots of rocks in the image there of the lake. And just putting just a bit of tone in there. Yeah, it was fun. Now here's where I left out my own image here. So I'm painting a reference now. This is Cedar, my dog, Cedar. She's a 12-year-old Kelpie dingo cross, and she's just absolutely beautiful. I really love her. We live near Bega, and it's on the Sapphire Coast of New South Wales. So it's the far south coast of New South Wales. The Sapphire Coast in particular goes from Bermagui to Eden, and I live midway between Sydney and Melbourne. And here was one of our morning walks where we captured the sunrise. I wish I could capture it like the photo. The photo was so beautiful. I really struggled to get the light coming through all of the tea trees. So we had our path here. This is a path that's near Merimbula, actually. I live at Callaroo, which is near the Boonda National Park. And this path that we were particularly walking on this morning is a bush track that's in between Tura Beach and Merimbula. Yeah, it's like the tea trees form a tunnel. There's lots of like tunnel pathways through the bush here on the coast. And I was trying to get the tones in, the further away in the distance, the trees look lighter, and the closer they're darker. But this was a 15-minute painting, and I had my brother coming, the phone was ringing, there's all sorts of things going on at the same time, and trying to paint and trying to make Cedar actually look like Cedar. Oh, it was a challenge. Anyway, it was fun. It was really fun. I've painted another panel because I would like to paint this painting again in not 15 minutes, in another time. Anyway, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the replay, and I will talk to you soon.